Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Morton?
Present.
Mr. Stuchel?
Present.
Mr. Edwards?
Present.
Ms. Hausfeld? Here. Mr. Schuldmeier?
Present.
Mr. Culbertson?
Present.
And Mr. Estep is absent.
Let the record show that 6 members are present, 1 member is absent. Council, what is your pleasure on the written minutes of the September 26th council meeting? Mr. Schultmeyer.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Seconded.
Motion by Mr. Schultmeyer, seconded by Mr. Morton to accept the written minutes of the September 26th council meeting. Are there any remarks? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered. All right, next on the agenda, we will have Alloy Development. I will turn it over to Mr. Wordman to introduce them.
Thank you. Tonight we have 2 representatives from Alloy Development. Alloy Development is our economic development consultants for the village. They have been, well, they predate me. I'm not sure exactly how many years they've been working with the village, but I think it's been a while. We have Catherine Fitzgerald and Dan Ferguson, and I've asked them, because our contract is up for renewal, just to come and give a brief overview to council and the citizens about some of their efforts that they have undertaken on behalf of the village. And so with that, I will turn it over to Dan, I guess.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Just wanted to give you guys a very brief summary of activities in the village. I think this is the end of our 2nd year here being an economic development consultant, and it's been a pleasure. The first project is the St. Bernard Square. There was actually a second award, a grant award given by the county to the project, so that totals around $540,000. This was for demolition and pre-development activities on the square there. The second item here is just talking about sort of focusing on a plan for the rest of Vine Street, the area that's the south of the square there. The district has made significant strides visually and with the streetscaping, and attracted a lot of end users such as Street Pops and the winery. There's also a lot of anchors in the district, like the library, the Fifth Third building, and the village administration building that we're sitting in today. And we're just encouraging the village to come up with some other strategies to help revitalize the corridor, focusing on attracting and encouraging additional destination businesses here, sort of similar to what you've got with the Wiedemann Brewery, and looking to attract additional private investment. The village does own quite a bit of land, so maybe putting some additional consideration about opportunities on those different sites. Just looking at parking, you have a lot of schools. It looks like the public school building is almost done, but just how that daytime population kind of meshes together in harmony. Synthica Energy announced a project back in 2022. They're almost finished with it. It's there on Vine Street where Spring Grove meets Vine. When they're completed with it, it's actually going to be the largest food waste digester in the nation. So pretty amazing. It's a Cincinnati company. They're actually working with our growth lab and our Office of Innovation and Creativity. So I was a little surprised that it's such a huge project happening here in St. Bernard. And you can kind of see the time frame there that they actually started construction back in 2023, and then that picture's from June of 2024, and more can be found on their webpage about that project. Business expansion. So we met with BASF this past summer. Their expansion project's underway right now. They're hoping to have that completed by next year. It was a $70 million expansion. What was really encouraging to see is that they're taking their production. They've got 20,000 square feet. They're doubling it to 40,000 square feet, but they still have room, and they've got plans to do another 40,000. So, the hope is that this is going to be a long-term kind of investment, and that we will see additional job creation as part of that project. I think BASF has been a great partner, and hopefully that project will be completed next year. The Emery Oleochemicals project, So we review, anytime a project gets tax incentives, we always review them annually to make sure that they're meeting all their goals. And Emory has definitely been meeting their goals. They have exceeded it. They were starting off at a goal of 2.2 million. They've invested 23 million. There's some other numbers there on the paper, but essentially they're exceeding all their goals. So that's what we want to see. As far as business retention meetings, we've had several of these meetings throughout the course of the year. We did start off with St. Bernard Soap, and I'm sure as everyone's well aware that that's a vacant property now. So they have 2 buildings that they are offering for sale and for lease. There's some complications with it still that they have to work out. Jeff Bender is representing both those properties. And later on in the report, it goes into the available properties that are for sale and for lease in the village. Those by far are the 2 largest. And we've been stressing with Jeff that they really need to focus on the end user and getting job creation in there. There's been some discussion in the news of, oh, this is a great site for all these different kinds of uses, and we've really stressed that we want the jobs to be there, and we want to see a good end user be located in those. Wow Window Boxes was a company we met with as well. They have 30 employees. They're looking at franchising options. They have some office space on Kiley Place. Kodiak on the next page. So they bought the old Coolant Control and Vulcan Oil building. They've made this their headquarters, and this is actually right across the street from that digester on Vine Street. And so Alloy and Ready Cincinnati have been meeting with them. They've talked about potential expansions, might be looking at the Enterprise Zone program. And that's something that we're working alongside with Ready, and hopefully we'll hear something from them soon. Street Pops, they've been mentioned before, being on Vine Street there in the main business district. They're looking at franchising. They were very grateful that the village sold their building to them several years ago to help them get themselves established. Citywide is up on Murray Avenue, so this is a recycling and remediation company. They're kind of bursting at the seams. They'd actually like to have about twice as much production area as they have right now. They are limited by their current location, so we're going to work with them to see what we can do for them. Let's see. So on the development resources, so in the late summer here, the county announced that there was funding available for mini planning grants. So we worked with the village to put together a application, and hopefully we'll find out later this month if that's been approved. This provides grant funding to allow for a consultant to review the area, host some public meetings, get some public input. And, you know, I think the last time that kind of effort was done was back in 1998 with the comprehensive plan. So some of that effort will be taking a look at that plan, seeing what needs to be updated, collecting, again, public input, and just trying to turn up some new ideas and see, you know, if there's adjustments that need to be made in that area. And there's a map included there. It's basically south from McClellan all the way down till you start dropping down the hill near the Dairy Queen. So the next page, so we were asked to reach out to OKI just to find out if there's an opportunity for the village to have representation. OKI is a regional transportation group that meets, I believe, quarterly. They're a host of, they have a huge amount of resources, and there's just sort of an example there on the paper, on the report. I used to go to them for traffic counts and that kind of thing, but they've really expanded their offerings. So I encourage you to take a look at that. But they said if the village is interested in having a representative, that there are opportunities for that. Commercial buildings for sale. So we have access to the CoStar system. If there are any properties that aren't listed here, let me know, because we can get them in there. There's no charge for that. You see that there's 4 properties that are for sale. The first 2 are the St. Bernard Soap buildings. The first one's the manufacturing building, or sorry, the first one, it says manufacturing, but it's actually the warehousing. And the second one is the manufacturing building. So both those are being offered for sale. And then there's 2 other properties in there. And then also for lease, that both the St. Bernard buildings, St. Bernard soap buildings are being offered for lease. When Tim came on board, we just generally went through the incentive programs that are available in the village. So there's 3 main programs. There's some details on the page there that go through those. You know, the key with enterprise zone is that it's the entire community, whereas CRA, it's very distinct areas, and your CRA really just provides incentive for housing projects of 1 or 2 units. It doesn't get into the multifamily. And then the last page just kind of shows you where that CRA boundary is, which is that yellow area, not including the cemeteries. Everything that's south of 75. I know I threw a lot of information at you guys really quick there. I don't know if there were any comments or questions or anything we can answer for you.
Anyone have any questions, or
Mr. President,
Mr. Edwards?
I do have one question. It's not anything you covered here, but tomorrow we're losing a bank. And I was wondering if you had been able to contact West Banco or had any thoughts about retaining them, or if anything had happened with that.
Yeah,
I know
think-
Tim tried to talk to him and nothing really came of it.
Yeah, I met with Tim maybe a week or 2 ago, and he had mentioned it. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet. Banks usually keep up their properties pretty well, so it's there's usually a lot of end users who find those to be attractive. I've even seen companies convert them into lab space, you know, like a clean room kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, we can reach out to them and see what's possible. Is it actually listed right now, or just, no? Okay. Yeah, we'll look into it.
The manager told me they have already had 2 people interested in it, so it's probably not gonna last too long. But my thought was, you know, it's a shame that we couldn't have kept West Banco somehow, because in last year, we went from 3 banks to 1. And then you saw listed, you had a church listed, went from 3 churches to 2.
Yeah.
2 big things that we need to really try to stay with. I know you don't do churches. That was
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of banks close in a lot of other communities, that they're just kind of shrinking their footprints, and, you know, I think they rely on electronic banking a lot now.
If I may add just to
Tim.
that, just as a follow-up, I did speak with, I got a call from I don't recall his title, but someone from West Banco, from West Virginia, who is dealing with the real estate portion of that transaction, asking, I had expressed a potential interest earlier when we first heard that the bank was going to be closing. He said that they've had a number of people reach out. I did ask him specifically if they would be willing to consider donating the building to the village or the CIC. He was not willing to do that. So, you know, just as a follow-up, it sounds like they are charting a course of disposing of the building. I don't think there's any route that they're going to continue to operate in St. Bernard. I did express my concern about who the future tenant might be. He assured me that they would not be, that they would be looking for a higher quality tenant and wouldn't just be selling it to the first person that comes down the road. So hopefully that turns out okay. And then the other piece is with regard to the church. I did reach out and spoke to the realtor that's handling that. He also was not willing to donate the building. So anyway, I've had contacts, and I think that he also indicated that there are some people reaching out either for apartments or I can't remember what the other, he said there was another church that was interested in it, but they would need additional parking, so I'm not sure how viable that would be for them. So that's the update I have on those 2 pieces of property.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Morton?
Yeah, first I want to say thank you so much for this presentation. It's nice to have in one packet here a bunch of really amazing wins from the past year. So thank you for walking us through that. I'm really interested in this business retention visits area. And I'm curious, how do you go about starting those conversations with the businesses? Is this something that y'all initiate, or is it something that the business owners do, or a combination of the two?
Yeah, it's primarily us. You know, sometimes Ready will reach out. They sort of have targeted industries that they're focused on, so sometimes they'll head those up. It's the first meeting that's the hardest. Once you have a relationship and they understand all the players and what this is about, and that we're not trying to sell them anything, we're not trying to regulate them, we're not trying to get in there and see if they have code violations. You know, once they understand that, usually it's pretty easy to get a meeting when it's necessary. Did you want to speak to that, Catherine? Or?
Yeah, I was just going to add, Catherine Fitzgerald with Alloy Development. I was just going to add that really most growth occurs with existing businesses, so it's a very, very proactive approach of us reaching out. We have tried to meet with several of the largest employers. Believe me, when it's a Fortune 500 corporation, it is very difficult. We have used some other pathways in those kinds of instances. For instance, one of the corporations is a board member for Ready Cincinnati. So through that channel, they have indicated that all operations are good in St. Bernard, for example. But generally speaking, the business retention effort is a very proactive approach where we contact the business many times, a multitude of times before we get a meeting scheduled. You could call it a meet and greet, and I've been doing this for a long time, and you would think, why would a president or a chief of a corporation want to meet? But they really appreciate just a thank you for doing your business in this village. We're here as a resource. And then finally, if you find yourself either needing more space and being landlocked, or for whatever reason looking elsewhere, please at least give us a shot here, you know, to either help you grow here or relocate within the village. So it is a very proactive approach for business retention. I will say, generally speaking, we don't focus on retail. So things like a branch bank, because we don't have much to offer them in terms of incentives. I hate to open this can of worms, and this is something we can talk about at another meeting and drill down and maybe do an educational piece. But for example, your community reinvestment area incentive could be used for small retail businesses. Mm-hmm. It's really the only tool available for small retail businesses. So again, we'd be happy to just kind of do an educational piece on that and what other communities have done to be proactive, because that's really the only tool available. We do tend to go to the larger employers and the manufacturers and whatnot more proactively with business retention. We're open to the idea of maybe going door to door in the business district corridor, but we have not done that yet.
Okay, thank you. That absolutely clarifies it.
Anyone else? Well, we thank you very much. Very informative. Keep up the good work, I guess.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Excuse me. Next on the agenda then, we'll turn it over to Mr. Edwards. We have people working cooperatively to address council, but I'll turn it to you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to introduce and thank Nina Creech of People Working Cooperatively for addressing council tonight. Nina is Executive Vice President and has 31 years of experience with PwC, and just want to thank her for coming tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. 31 years means I used to live in Clifton, and I go far back as the Priscilla Bakery is bringing donuts for the guys on my way in. So I'm very familiar with St. Bernard, and thank you for keeping those roads clear in the winter. You guys are the best, I have to say. I just wanted to share a little bit. There you go. Hey, it's amazing. I just wanted to share a little bit about our work in your community, and different ways that we can support each other. So PwC's been around we're going to be 50 in February. We employ 125 individuals, and we're growing. So I brought a flyer to post perhaps somewhere that we're looking for talented people always. We are essentially a nonprofit construction company. We provide emergency home repairs. People can call us and say, I have no heat, my toilet doesn't flush, my gutter is falling off the home, and depending on where you live and how we're funded, we provide the emergency services for folks. To give you a sense of the scope of our work, we do over about 7,000 services annually. We're in 2 states and 16 counties, and recently we've been awarded additional dollars through the state of Ohio to expand our footprint in the community. How we like to do our work is what we consider a whole house model, where we try to leverage and bring together different services. I just did a quick peek at what we've done in your community. And I can remember several projects. I did one with the Federal Home Loan Bank years ago for a couple, I can't remember the street, it's behind the skyline back there, that they were disabled, and we made it a visitable home where it was accessible for them. We've provided 62 services in your community. We've spent $138,000 in your community in the past couple years. That's through a combination of free will giving, contracts that we might have with the state of Ohio, and a variety of different sources. I was sharing with Jeff, I bet it was 25 years ago, we used to have a direct contract to do work with St. Bernard. I remember working with a Steve, somebody, I believe, in the planning department. Was that you? It might have been, many years ago, and I think you guys opted in with the county ultimately is what wound up happening, but we do serve several different municipalities. So in addition to our emergency home repair, energy conservation, and modifications for disabilities, we have a robust volunteer involvement program. And it just so happens that our Prepare Fair is happening November 16th. We have over 1,000 volunteers out in one day, raking leaves and cleaning gutters. If any of you have children that need community service hours, reach out. We work with the local high schools here. We've had kids over the years. We try to keep them in the community or nearby community, depending on where we have requests. But it's a great opportunity for anyone to get involved with our organization and just share, helping your neighbors. That's kind of what this is all about. If you don't qualify for any of our services, don't worry. We still have a way that we can help you. I'm going to leave on my business card. We're focused on, in addition to our emergency home repairs and modifications, we have learned over the years that we are making a health impact in the community through our work. We are focused on 3 major issues: lead paint, which is prevalent in our community, in your community as well. We have grants and programs that can help with that right now. So lead paint, asthma. Asthma is Cincinnati Children's Hospital #1 emergency room visit. Medication alone doesn't fix the problem. Often it's an environmental, and it's what's happening with the home. We can't help people quit smoking or move the dog outside, but we can do, often it is deferred maintenance in a home, moisture, mold, different kinds of problems that cause the environmental issue that causes the asthma. So we're working on we have a partnership with Children's, we're working on a study, but that's also a health focus. And then also aging in place. Falls cost the state of Ohio a tremendous amount of funds, and 1 out of 4 people that falls doesn't get out of the hospital. That falls are not a natural part of aging, they are avoidable. So we have engaged in a program called Stepping On. It's an evidence-based 7-week class. It is free to anyone in the community. If anyone from St. Bernard wanted us to come, teach a class, we'd love it if you'd come to us up the road. But if not, we could make arrangements to come, and what we do is an in-home assessment, in addition to the 7 weeks, to identify opportunities of where people could make improvements. A lot of these older homes, doing your laundry, you have to do it downstairs. There aren't steady handrails to get downstairs, poor lighting. A lot of things it's a small dollar value to make a big impact, and we've really doubled down on that, and we're doing research projects on that. And then I'm going to leave on the back of my business card, we've created a virtual home. So up the road, I would love for you to come visit us. We are 1.2 miles away from here, so it's really easy to get here. But we created an innovation center. We show people the relationship between their home and health. And right before the pandemic, we opened, and then the pandemic happened. We were just talking about it. So we created a virtual house. And what you can do is scan. First, there's a little thing we ask who you are. Not because we're trying to sell anything to you. We want to understand if you're a healthcare provider, if you're in construction, what is it that you do? and we show people different opportunities of things they can do to their home to age in place. So there's a lot of different things. You can stay in your home for a long time. Always, people want to stay there, but it takes a little bit of an investment. An investment is far cheaper than any time you would spend in any kind of institution. So we believe in that firmly, and so we have invested in that more. Could probably talk for an hour, but since I only had 10 minutes, how'd I do? Do you have any other questions about what we do at PwC?
Anybody else, any questions?
All right.
Seems good.
I'm going to leave my materials here at the podium.
Mr.
Oh,
President.
one more pitch. November 11th, we have a telethon with WCPO for veterans. Veterans also represent a large proportion of the folks that we're serving. We also have an opportunity from the Farmer Foundation. Every dollar that we get donated is matched. So that's really a big deal for us. So I'll leave that in case anybody wanted to watch our telethon and donate. I'm going to leave my cards up here as well if you have any questions. And thank you very much for your opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate the information. All right. Next on the agenda then, I kind of bumped this back to get these guys in so they could get on their way. But I have the discussion of moving the November council meeting to Thursday, November 21st for those who may be going out of town for Thanksgiving. Does anyone have any issue? And while I'm on it, we might as well, same thing in December. Excuse me, instead of having a council meeting on December 26th, the day after Christmas, I don't think anybody wants to come in here the day after Christmas. I don't know if any council meeting is going to be needed for any of your funds. We may know better in November, but okay. So if needed, November and December, we would do back-to-back Thursdays instead of a week in between. So it would be November 14th for Committee of the Whole, November 21st for Council, and in December 12th would be Committee of the Whole, December 19th. Nothing has to be done tonight, but a council meeting, I'll ask for a motion to do that then. So just want to put it out there so everybody could kind of look at their calendars and just so we don't have any conflicts or anything. Anything to add to that, anyone? Or like I say, I'll bring it up at the council meeting too. All right, we'll move to reports of administrative officials. Mayor Stuchel.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I'd like to thank the Service Department for their great response to the recent storm damage that we had. I don't think there could have been any other community that could compare as far as how quickly any debris or damage were dealt with in such a quick manner. So again, thank you for that quick response and taking care of us again. Also wanted to thank the St. Bernard Senior Citizens Club for allowing us to provide an annual cookout for them, which we did. I want to thank the fire department for their assistance on the grill. And I did also mention in the newsletter that I actually apologize for actually putting some smoke in the building and tested the fire department's quick response with a little bubbling over of baked macaroni and cheese in the oven. So I don't think the smoke was such a big deal, but the inability to get the alarm shut off was mildly annoying. So anyhow, but it was a fun day. So again, just a reminder that the St. Bernard Senior Citizens Club, meets on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. It's a great group of people. What a great resource, and anyone that's interested in actually the Senior Citizens Club is welcome to call the president, Brenda Hensley, at 513-535-1672 if you're interested or if you'd like to attend. Also, want to thank the police and fire departments for putting on another great safety day. I know they had some last-minute cancellations, but they still did a great event. They're looking at maybe changing venue a little bit for next year, maybe even creating more of like a national night out type of a venue, but having it maybe around City Hall. But anyhow, I appreciate their efforts. It was another great event, and the cooperative efforts that they have with other agencies that they were able to bring in was awesome. So it was a lot of fun. So I wanted to thank them. So again, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Auditor, Ms. Prickwig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pretty much to piggyback on what you said, this time of year, mostly what I do is just get ready for the end of the year and the beginning of the next year. So I do not have any appropriation changes at this point. What I will do is wait till after payroll goes in next week and after we pay a bulk of more bills and look at it then. So it's kind of going to be on a weekly basis, but I will email people, if I see something, because we do our best not to do additional appropriations. We actually like to decrease the appropriations, but also if anything happened throughout the year, a lot of times we'll go, well, let's just wait and see. Hopefully, we don't need additional. So from here on out, I'll be letting you know that via email, but pretty much that's all we're working on right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Law Director Valerie Van Valkenburg.
Thank you. You have before you a proposed ordinance number 30, which which deals with the adoption of a new chapter in Title III, and we're calling it Registration of Vacant Residential, Commercial, and Industrial Buildings. And we would add that to the codified ordinances. Ms. Helms brought to our attention that we have a number of vacant properties in St. Bernard that have been vacant for about 45, and that some of them have been vacant for years and years, sometimes as much as 10 years. So we've looked at this. Apparently the city of Hamilton we based it off the one the city of Hamilton has, but we also included residential properties in it. We would like to, it provides for a mechanism for registration and for inspections, basically by the fire department, especially, and bringing in the building department if the fire department feels those are necessary. It's really a safety issue. We want to make sure that these are not just abandoned, but they're secured. We don't have transients moving in, and that provide a way for public safety, police and fire to get in case of an emergency. Also prepared, and you have before you ordinance number 31, which would deal with the adoption of a number of revisions to Chapter 1335, which has to deal with the Property Maintenance Code. And that's where, as we've talked off and on through the year about dealing with short-term rental properties, some of the changes within 1335 proposed deal with short-term rental properties, and also some other changes dealing with, for example, we have a couple of institutional kind of properties here in town as well. I gave it to you all as 1335 because as we were looking at it, we were kind of going within laws, contracts, and claims, we're going back and forth looking at different parts of it. And as I was looking through those, I had caught some typos or a couple of them and some missed commas, things like that. So I had kind of incorporated those as we were going throughout 1335 and reviewing it. But the majority of the changes, substantive changes, are found in the document I handed out this evening or that Heidi put in your box this evening. It starts with, for example, it says new 1335-04 Enforcement Authority. The current version, which is if you would go to the website and you would go to the codified ordinances, the current version is what we have. So I thought it would be easier for you to be able to look at what the actual substantive changes are if you look in the smaller document. And if you would prefer, I could even break it out. We wouldn't have just the one large overall arching 1335 change. If you would rather have them broken up into smaller ordinances addressing certain sections, we could do that as well. Just let me know. That's something we could do, but I did propose it initially as the overall arching Exhibit A, Chapter 1335. Thank you.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we talked earlier, or I heard discussion that these aren't necessarily going on the table next council meeting. We're going to give everybody a chance to digest.
Yes, correct.
And we'll do it in November.
Yes.
Good.
Like I said, I wanted to make it a little easier for you, which is why I did break out the substantive sections.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Treasurer, Mr. Ungrue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Received the Star Ohio statement for the village's funds that they maintain for us at the end of September. Our account total was $12,003,545.69. Copies have been distributed to the clerk and to council, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Safety and Service Director, Mr. Wardman.
Thank you. Just a few items. June Street repaving was supposed to be finished today. I did not have an opportunity to go out and look, but I believe J.K. Muir put the final course of asphalt on there today. They will be following up with the lane markings. As everybody has noticed, the speed bumps have been going in on Vine Street. That's scheduled to be work is scheduled to be finished this week. I don't want to steal Gus's thunder, but the new sweeper is out in front of the building. Sorry if I did that. And then finally, I did want to thank actually the Mill Creek Alliance. I signed up and did a paddle from Carthage to Saltway Park and got to go on a canoe through the Mill Creek through Ivorydale. And that was pretty cool to see it from that perspective. Different way to see St. Bernard. So the Mill Creek Alliance, I wanted to thank them for that opportunity. That was pretty cool. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Just one quick question. I think you had said that Alloy's contract is up in November. Do we need to do anything prior to the November council meeting?
No, I don't think so. It's,
Okay.
I think it's budgeted and, yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to double check. Thank you. Tax Administrator, Ms. Helms.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the Tax Department's September 2024 end-of-month receipts. Tax collections for September of 2024 were $1,631,176. September of 2024 is up 96% or $798,951 from September of 2023. That's largely due to a business's fiscal year ending in June. That's why that's up. Refunds for September were $19,214. 9,382 of that was a refund back to the state of Ohio for their municipal net portal. Delinquent tax collected with capital recovery was $1,076, and delinquent tax collected with the Ohio Attorney General's office was $5,954. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. We'll move to reports of standing committees. Finance, Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee meeting scheduled for next week has been canceled due to no agenda topics warranting a meeting at this time. Thank you to those who have been attending the monthly Community Connects again. October's Community Connect is scheduled for Thursday, November 7th from 5 to 6 p.m. at 5 Star Mediterranean. And on a more personal note, I do want to thank everyone around the village for just being so supportive of our local small businesses recently. It's heartwarming to see over 100 comments on Facebook about the amazing food Walk-In has provided to our community for decades, and folks stepping up to support 5 Star Mediterranean's owner, Ahmed, and his family during this difficult time has made me so proud to call this place my home. We truly walk the walk of saying it takes a village. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Service, Mr. Stuchel.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Service Department will commence leaf collection services starting next Monday, October 14th. Continuing through December 6th, residents are reminded to place leaf piles at the curb, taking care not to extend them into the street or obstruct sidewalks. And just like Tim stated, the Service Department's long-awaited street sweeper is finally in and should be out on the streets in the coming days. That concludes that of my report.
Thank you. Public Improvements, Mr. Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have scheduled a Public Improvement Committee meeting on October 16th from 5 to 6 o'clock p.m. in Centennial Hall. The subject will be energy aggregation. Anyone interested in the subject should feel free to bring their thoughts as well as any information. The committee is there primarily to listen, but any member is welcome to bring any information they have also. As always, everyone is encouraged to bring their ideas to council, such as energy aggregation, with the hope of making our village a better place for all. And Mr. President, I'd also like to add Kate Kraus of our public library to our agenda for October 24th council meeting. She has offered an update on the programs currently being provided at our St. Bernard Library branch at this time. We have a beautiful library with very helpful employees, and it's always good to call attention to such a great resource. And once again, I'd like to thank Nina Creech, people working cooperatively, for speaking to council tonight. Thank you, Mr. President. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Safety, Ms. Housefeld.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight I have a Fire Prevention Week report from the Fire Department from October 6th to the 12th. This year's campaign is smoke alarms. Make them work for you. Below are some safety tips for your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms. Smoke alarm basics. Install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each separate sleeping area like a hallway, and on each level, including the basement of your home. Test smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button. Replace all smoke alarms when they are 10 years old or stop responding when tested. What is your alarm telling you? Smoke alarms. A continuous set of 3 loud beeps, beep, 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 means smoke or fire. Get out, call 911, and stay out. A single chirp every 30 to 60 seconds means the battery is low and must be changed. All smoke alarms must be replaced every 10 years. Chirping that continues after the battery has been replaced means the alarm is at the end of its life and the unit must be replaced. Carbon monoxide CO alarms. A continuous set of 4 loud beeps, beep, 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 means carbon monoxide is present in your home. Go outside, call 911, and stay out. A single chirp every 30 to 60 seconds means battery is low and must be replaced. CO alarms also have end-of-life sounds that vary by manufacturer. This means it's time to get a new carbon monoxide alarm. Chirping that continues after the battery has been replaced means the alarm is at the end of its life and the units must be replaced. If you have any questions or need assistance with your alarms, please contact the St. Bernard Fire Department at 513-242-9555. Also, I want to thank not only the Police and Fire Department for their Safety Day, which unfortunately I had to work and I did not get to attend this year, but I know it's always been a great opportunity in years past to get the kids out there, get the families involved, and see exactly what goes on with the different departments and the different agencies. Also, because I do know that, with that storm that we just had, I too want to thank the service department because I know of people that have had, big trees, little trees, all kinds of debris out in the yards and the streets and stuff, and I know they worked endlessly trying to clean up our village for us. So thanks to all 3 departments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Laws, contracts, and claims, Mr. Schultmeyer.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Marketing, Mr. Culbertson.
Thanks, Mr. President. There will be a fresh market at the Pavilion on Sunday, October 20th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Emmanuel United Church of Christ will be hosting a Family Fall Festival on Sunday, October 27th, from noon to 5 p.m. There will be games, food, and raffle baskets. Lastly, the next St. Bernard Little Grove Historical Society program will take place on Monday, October 21st, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the upper level of the municipal building. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mayor.
Mr. President, did you want to report on the camp out this weekend and the trunk or the tent retreat?
Go.
So the annual Halloween camp out being held on this Friday, October 11th, and Saturday, October 12th at Lower Ross Park. Activities will be the annual Halloween costume contest on Saturday evening, trunk or treating, movies and fire pit and more. Again, because I don't see the timing, sorry. I don't see the time of the actual costume contest, but we need to verify that one. Sorry, that was and again, that is open to everyone. You do not have to be camping at Ross Park to participate. That is a community-wide activity, but I'll look it up. We'll get the time
I was
before.
going to say, You got it, Peg?
Yep, I got it. Let me find it. You may begin setting up your campsite anytime after 4 on Friday. Let's see, and it looks like no cars permitted on the track after 7. You may bring your umbrellas. Okay, there it is. Halloween costume contest and tent or treating will begin at 7 p.m. on Saturday night.
All right. Thank you. Just a couple quick things. I know it's already been talked about. West Banco obviously is closing tomorrow. We should all know that by now. I believe that Dairy Queen closes Sunday, so hurry and stock up on your ice cream at 20% off. If you have not been to La Rosa's new dining room, it looks great, so visit La Rosa's. And don't forget, tomorrow is Roger Bacon's homecoming parade, which will be on Vine Street. I believe they start at 5, they leave school, go up Vine Street to Church, Church to Greenlee, Greenlee to Del Mar. So when you get caught by traffic, you have been forewarned, so. Other than that, I have no ordinances for next week, so I'll
Mr. President?
Yes.
Something I just wanted to remind everybody of with the chaos we had last year is if we don't have a December meeting, you're only going to get one reading out of this ordinance because it cannot carry over to the next year. The ordinance are on the table, so I just remember that mess we had last year. Yeah,
The 2024 date?
yes, so I
Okay.
just wanted to give a heads up on that,
Yes.
so you guys think about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to excuse the absent member.
Mr. President,
Mr. Culbertson.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse the absent member.
Motion by Mr. Culbertson, seconded by Mr. Schultmeyer to excuse the absent member. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. All right. Next council meeting will be Thursday, October 24th, and the next committee of the whole will be Thursday, November 14th. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Mr. Culbertson.
make a motion, we adjourn.
A second?
Motion by Mr. Culbertson, second by Mr. Edwards to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.